Welcome inside this special championship caliber version of The Big Show. Rick Pizzo, Marcel Reese in studio. Get you down to Indianapolis shortly. Our championship-based crew has exclusive interviews, in-depth analysis from field level at Lucas Oil Stadium. But Marcel, you don't have to be in our profession, a professional of any kind, to understand the talent, the skill, and the hunger that we saw on the field Saturday night. All those worries about whether players would actually want to be part of a conference championship game, those were clearly worries that no one had to have after watching these teams play.
From the first whistle to the last whistle, Rick, this game was unbelievable. Competition was at the highest level, and we saw the two best teams in this conference, two of the best teams in the country, go head-to-head tonight.
Thanks to a loss by Texas in the SEC championship game earlier in the day, Oregon, Penn State knew they were playing for not just the Big Ten title, but also the #1 seed in this year's college football playoff. Penn State back in the champ game for the first time since 2016. Oregon in its inaugural season, playing for its first ever Big Ten title. And on the opening drive, what a start. Dillon Gabriel to Tez Johnson, sign of things to come. 17-yard gain and a first down for the Ducks. Later in the drive, Gabriel to Kenyon Sadiq. And oh my goodness, no he didn't. How about this? The hurdle over Jalen Kimber. Ducks go 9 plays, 84 yards on their very first possession. They lead it 7-0. Ensuing Penn State drive, Nicholas Singleton gets the handoff, and this is a great sign for Marcel when Penn State can run the ball.
There is nothing better for an offense than establishing the run early on their first drive.
That 41-yarder sets up a Ryan Barker field goal, 7-3. Next Oregon possession, it's Gabriel to Sadiq again, 2 duck drives, 2 Gabriel to Sadiq touchdown passes, it's 14-3. Ensuing Penn State drive, Aller stepping up, finding Trey Wallace on the 16-yard connection. First down, drive continues, and then it's Aller with the perfectly designed play by OC Andy Kotelnicki over the middle to Nicholas Singleton. Penn State back within 4. Oregon up 14-10. It's Gabriel to Johnson once again, a 31-yard gain. Penn State secondary just had no answer for Johnson all night long. Later in the drive, it's Gabriel to Terrance Ferguson. Ducks had 2 total touchdown catches by tight ends during the regular season. They had 3 in the first half of the champ game. It's 21-10. Later second quarter, same score. Aller makes his first mistake of the night. Picked off by Dante Manning all the way down to the 1-yard line. Sets up Jordan James from 1 yard out. The Ducks extend the lead to 28-10. Penn State knows next drive has to be a score. And how about this throw, Marcel, from Aller to Omari Evans?
It was just gutsy. A dime right into the paint to a Penn State wide receiver.
Always a good sign. 8 plays, 75 yards on the drive. It's 28-17. Then Aller keeping it himself under 2 minutes to play in the half. 14 unanswered for Penn State. Oregon does tack on a late second quarter field goal, so it's 31-24 at the half. Third quarter, it's Gabriel evading pressure, finding Tez Johnson, 48 yards. And Marcel, this is what makes Dillon Gabriel so dangerous and so effective.
Rick, you're exactly right. On the run, Dillon Gabriel always has his eyes downfield, finds his fast wide receiver in Tez Johnson for the end zone.
It's 38-24. Same score in the third. Katron Allen up the middle. 26 yards. This Penn State drive started at the Nittany Lions 3-yard line. It continues with Allen inside the 3, capping off a 97-yard push. 2-point conversion fails. The analytics say go for it. I disagree with the analytics. Ensuing Oregon drive on 4th and 2. Analytics say go for it. This one I like, and not just because they converted. Gabriel to Ferguson. Drive continues, and then Jordan James takes it in from 3 yards out. Ducks with the answer. James, couple of rushing touchdowns on the day. It's 45-30. Under 4 minutes to play on a 4th and 10. How on earth does Drew Aller make this throw? Mateo Uyunglele has his jersey in the grip. Instead, Marcel Aller able to make a perfect throw.
When your quarterback plays gutsy and tough like this, it does wonders for your football team.
It's 45-37. Penn State's D holds, gets the ball back, but on 2nd and 1, they're testing the defense into double coverage, and it's Nikko Reed who comes up with an outstanding and game-clinching interception, perhaps a shot that Aller and James Franklin wish they had back. Dan Lanning and company celebrating in Indianapolis after the 45-37 win. It is time for Coach Lanning and company to get what they've played for all year long from Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti. Let's take you to Indy. Ashley Adamson on the field with the man who sealed this one for the Ducks, defensive back Nikko Reed.
Congratulations, Big Ten champ.
Make a big-time play. Big-time players make big-time plays, big-time and big moments.
It felt like every time you guys were about to really close the door on Penn State, they found a way to come back. What was the message on that final drive before you went out and made that play?
A stop wins the game. We need a turnover. If you get a turnover, go down. And that's what we did. We got a turnover.
This is one of the most connected teams I've ever covered and watched. What makes this locker room unique?
You know, we just love each other. It's a brotherhood. You know, we've been through everything together, like workouts in the morning, in the spring, and till now. So, you know, it's just a brotherhood, that's all.
And I know your coach would say there's still more food on the plate, so go enjoy the celebration and best of luck in the playoffs.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Well said, Ashley. Plenty of food left on the plate, and the chef who serves it up is Dillon Gabriel. 4 touchdown passes, tying Trace McSorley, who had 4 back in 2016 when Penn State came from behind to beat Wisconsin. Drew Aller did his best, but unable to do what McSorley did some 8 years ago. Dwayne Haskins, the only quarterback with more. Haskins threw for 5 with Ohio State back in 2018. I'm guessing Dan Lanning wants no one other than Dillon Gabriel running his offense, but don't take my word for it. Let's hear from the head man himself as we check in with our crew at Lucas Oil Stadium.
And we are thrilled to have the head coach of the Big Ten champion Oregon Ducks, Dan Lanning, with us. How's that sound, Coach?
It's got a good ring to it.
It does. Hey, this was a heck of a game.
Man.
I got to say, it's a little bit more of a track meet than we've been used to in these parts, in this game in recent years. Were you expecting it to be as high-scoring an offensive game as it was, given how good these defenses are?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. I knew we had 2 capable offenses, and obviously the defense wasn't always there tonight on either side. But they came up when their best was needed. You know, that interception at the end, and then the offense able to finish that drive off made it a special game.
Did you make more adjustments in this game than you make in most games?
These guys make you make adjustments. Yeah, these guys make you make adjustments. I don't know how good they were, right? But I know this, we finished the game with a W. We've talked all season. There's been moments where our defense has put our offense on their back, right? Wisconsin game, a couple other games. Our offense put our defense on their back tonight, and that's exactly what we needed from them.
Talk to me about that 4th and 2. Down on the end, a big pass over the middle.
Yeah, to Ferg.
Yeah,
that was good that it worked out.
Yeah,
I'm glad that worked. I imagine some people would have some things to say if it didn't. So, who cares? Right? I don't care what anybody else thinks. I believe in our players. I believe them in that moment. And what an unbelievable play by Dillon and Ferg in that moment. Just really proud of those guys.
Tess Johnson was just incredible in this game. He obviously was sidelined for a couple games with an injury. He's come back with a vengeance. His story is so amazing. His journey as a transfer coming to you guys. Just give people who don't know about him a sense of what he means to your team.
Boy, I love Tez. I'm so proud of Tez. You know, this morning, he probably called me 3 times this morning and said, okay, what do you think the lights are going to be like in the stadium? He's trying to get prepared and ready. He came up to me at the beginning of the 4th quarter. He goes, I need your 15 best minutes right now. He challenges me to be my best. I'm so proud of him and what he's done for our team. He certainly means a ton to us.
What do you like the most about this team?
Just that we can do it any way you want it, right? We can win on D, we can win on O. We didn't win on D tonight, we won on O, right? We can win in special teams, but they're resilient. The next play is the most important play. They never had a doubt in their mind. You walk in there at halftime, never a doubt in their mind. I'm just really proud of that.
the consistency that you guys have been able to maintain this entire year, and obviously in this game with some things against your ball, although you were leading. What does that say about your team and about your staff?
Yeah, just that. We have an incredible staff. We have great players here. We got a lot of people that believe in the process, and the process mattered tonight. You know, it mattered all the way down to the last tick, and I'm just really grateful that I get to be a part of the University of Oregon. Really grateful that I get to work with the guys that I love working with. I get to go with people I love to work with every single day, and it makes this really special.
You guys are 13-0. This has been a year of utter chaos in college football. It just seems like every single week we have these games that just make you shake your head that you didn't see coming, and yet Oregon has been the model of consistency. How have you been able to maintain this level of play week in and week out?
Just focusing on the next moment, right? Not worried about the future, not worried about the past, worried about the next moment, right? I promise you right now we're going to watch that game and we're going to say, where can we grow from it, right? And there's going to be a lot of opportunities for growth, but that's what makes our team different. They're excited to figure out what can we do better.
It's a long season. Have you thought about what the plan is for this week?
Yeah, we've got it all mapped out. We do. We have a setup for every scenario, and we have a plan for the future here this week. But we're going to get some rest. We're going to get an opportunity to evaluate some of these teams. We're going to work on developing our roster here, and do a great job of being ready for this next opportunity when we step on the field.
How important was it for you to be able to go deep on your roster with this type of season that you're having? Plus, you think about going into the 12-team playoff, how deep you have to go there. The depth of this roster is really outstanding.
Yeah, if you step on the field for us, you're a starter, right? And there's a lot of starters that contributed to this win tonight, contributed to this season. We got an unbelievable team that preps really hard week in and week out, and when moments like that happen, somebody goes down, the next guy's up and ready to roll.
Dan, I'm going to leave you with this. You're 13-0. You're going to be the number one seed when the bracket comes out tomorrow. Oregon has never won a national championship. You are the favorite to do it now. So it'll be the 8th straight week you've been number one. What's the message to your team as you head into this most important stretch in the history of Oregon football?
Let's make tomorrow the best tomorrow we've ever had. Let's focus on tomorrow, and then we'll worry about the rest when we get there. But it's one game at a time. It's one day at a time, and that's where we'll start.
I will be here worrying about the rest. Yeah,
yeah, you guys do that. We're not listening to you.
Congratulations, and thanks for coming by after the game.
Thank you so much.
I know you got a lot to do. Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
Dan Lanning, coach of the Ducks.
Gentlemen, terrific stuff with the Oregon head coach, Rick Pizzo, back with Marcel Reese. Heard Dan Lanning talk about Tez Johnson. He's the first ever receiver to be named MVP of the championship game, a champ game record, 181 yards through the air. What a terrific connection he and Dillon Gabriel had on Saturday night.
Yeah, Rick. Today, Tez Johnson was just moving at a different speed than everyone else on the field, and it was unbelievably noticeable. No matter who was guarding him, where the ball was coming out, he was just faster than everyone. He was determined. They were missing him for a few weeks, and it shows the hole that he presents in that offense and the threat he presents to defense. It shows drastically when he's on the field.
And, of course, he is a guy as accurate as anybody in the country, getting him the ball not just in the right spots, but at the right speed so that Johnson is accelerating when he catches the ball. Dillon Gabriel puts it in the right spot 99% of the time.
And that is what makes this Oregon offense so successful. When you watch Dillon Gabriel, it's not just the way he throws the ball, but it's the decision-making. Look how fast he's getting the ball out. This is a very fast Penn State defense, especially the front four. We're talking about 2.5 seconds. They had some free hitters coming at him, and they still couldn't get to him. Here, 2.1 seconds before the ball is out of his hands. He's always on time, he's always on target, and he doesn't make many mistakes, especially at crucial times. He puts so much pressure on the defense by how fast he gets the ball out that if you're on the second level, you can't be right. He takes his shots at great times. Here, he pushes the ball down the field to his unbelievably fast wide receiver in Tez Johnson, and it's a difference maker how fast Dillon Gabriel gets the ball out of his hands.
2.5 seconds or less on all of those releases really doesn't give the secondary or that defense a chance to get set. He's also a threat with his legs, so you can't just sell out on the pass. That's why Dillon Gabriel has accounted for more touchdowns than any other player in the history of college football. He has accomplished so much, and after Saturday night, he can add one more line to his resume. That is a Big Ten champion. That Oregon green certainly looks to be a championship shade after the Ducks knock off Penn State in an absolute classic 45-37 Saturday night in Indianapolis. 2 of those Duck touchdowns came from running back Jordan James. Here he is post-game with Ashley Adamson.
2 touchdowns for this young man. Congratulations, Big Ten champions. How does that sound?
It feels good, man. It feels good to be the first champions in this conference, in this news conference. So.
How did you guys do it? It felt like you guys came out and threw the first punch and kept throwing them. The tempo, it felt like, had them on their heels early.
Yeah, just physicality and poise. It was a back and forth game. They have a great offense and a great defense as well. So we stay level.
Tez Johnson, tell me about that man.
Yeah, he's a freak, man. It's like I told him on the field, it's like watching a video game live, man. He's crazy.
This team is so connected. Why?
It's just everything we've been through, man. We lost some brothers together, man. We work all summer and spring, man, for this right here.
What do people need to know about the Oregon Ducks?
That we're the most physical team in college football.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That physical back had 87 yards on 20 carries. Tez Johnson, 181 receiving yards, Big Ten championship record. And Dillon Gabriel doing Dillon Gabriel things, 283 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no turnovers. The Duck, all-everything quarterback with our champ-based crew in Indianapolis.
And thrilled to be joined now by Oregon quarterback Dillon Gabriel after a fabulous performance, 4 touchdown passes in the Ducks win here over Penn State. Dillon, you've made 62 starts in your career in college football. Where does this moment rank up among the best ones?
Man, it's up there, if not the one. But, I think that'll come down the road in terms of moments. But definitely going to enjoy this one. What a game. What a special night. Let's go, baby. What a love you, dog. Hey, what a night, though, honestly. Just everyone coming together. And I think when you just look like moments like these, you look forward to them, and especially coming on the right side of it.
How many things on defense did they give you that maybe you hadn't worked on?
A little bit. There's always a flair, for a championship game. But for the most part, them just doing their thing, and us, coverage recognition, guys playing really well in man versus zone. And I just felt like, everyone came together in the right moments and made it happen.
Take me through the fourth and 2, right?
Yeah.
It's an outstanding play.
Yeah.
What were you seeing?
Watch a couple clips, versus Maryland and Ohio State and in that cover 2, and they've got them in those third down situations, but we got it on that 4th and 2, and, have talked about getting backside, getting to that window, and just anticipated it well, but trusting Ferg, trusting the O-line, give me that time, and then, converting on a big 4th down.
This is a defense that was giving up 14 points per game. They hadn't given up more than 30 all year. You guys put 45 on them. You scored on your first 3 drives. Was there something that you saw? Did you anticipate that it was going to be this kind of game, that you could put that kind of number on them?
For sure, never a doubt. Penn State's a great team and came out firing as well. But I think, just when we look at, what we've done well is being clean and executing at a high level. And I think we did that early. Got into some ebbs and flows of the game that we corrected. But most importantly, when you look at these big-time moments, you got to execute in those times, and I felt like we did. So I'm proud of our guys. Proud of Nikko sealing the deal with that one. Like I said, it's just big-time players making big-time plays in big moments, so I'm proud of everyone.
What was the conversation at halftime with the offensive coaches going into the second half?
Yeah, just finding a way to, play clean on those first downs. I feel like that's why we got into those 3 and outs and things that I can do better, and everyone, we take pride in. And, you look at it, and when we've played in front of the chains and played really well and clean, then it puts us in good position to go score.
I think one of the things that's really been interesting to watch you guys this year, you're obviously undefeated, but it appears that you guys always have something that you can work on when you leave these games. How has that brought the team and kept the team hungry all year?
Yeah, I love the way Coach Lanning, presents improvement. I think a lot of people, improvement can be looked at as a negative, but just the positive energy we look at how good we can be, and not learning through loss but through victory is very difficult. But a guy who's done it and has seen a great team, so appreciate him, and as players we just trusted him in his program that he has for us.
How do you, when the goal is to win it all, right? The goal is to win the national championship. How do you come as prepared as you were for this game? This game is kind of an intermediate step, right? You could lose this game and still win the national championship, and yet you guys were completely dialed in on this from the word go. How do you explain kind of that team mentality of being ready for moments like this?
Yeah, when you take dogs hunting, they're not going to just stop. We're playing a game. We got 60 minutes to go make the most of it, and, I feel like we do that. Every opportunity we get, we're going to take full advantage of, and I'm proud of our guys. No one blinked twice, knew exactly what we had in mind, and had a clear vision for what we wanted to accomplish.
I'm really curious, not only about today, but about all season. You're a veteran guy. How much have the tablets on the sidelines helped you, and has it changed the game at all?
It has. It's a huge advantage for, I think, everyone.
Sure.
Being able to, drive to drive, make improvements. And as a quarterback, coverage recognition, seeing what you got on certain third downs and how can you maybe tally it up and see if there's a trend. But for the most part, just as a team, you look at how we can improve within a drive, but also try and turn it into points.
So it was useful.
100%.
Okay.
100%.
Oregon quarterback Dillon Gabriel, Big Ten champion.
Let's go.
Sounds pretty good.
Sounds
we'll
great.
see you in the playoff. Thanks, Dillon.
Thank you.
Gents, thank you. Dillon threw 4 touchdown passes, 2 to Kenyon Sadiq. We'll hear from him in just a little bit. Tez Johnson just goes for 181 yards and a touchdown. That receiving star is with us as well as we continue our coverage of the 2024 championship game here on The Big Show. A season to remember for Oregon football continues with the 2024 Big Ten Championship. In that game, one of the moments to remember came early when Kenyon Sadiq hurdled a Penn State defender for the Ducks' first touchdown. Here's the Oregon tight end with Ashley Adamson.
Kenyon, you caught 2 touchdowns before people could even get in their seats here in the Big Ten Championship game. Walk me through what you guys saw maybe leading into this game that you felt like you may be able to have an advantage, or was it just the way it played out?
I mean, it's just the way it played out. I mean, any of the guys out here are capable of going out there and doing that. Just happened to me in this shows, it's a blessing to come out here and do this with these guys, great people all around.
Can you walk me through that hurdle?
I mean, yeah, he was just going low. I mean, it just kind of happens in the moment, you know what I mean? So I just come out there and make a play.
Have you seen a replay yet?
I saw like a little clip on the big board.
It was pretty nice. I know you're going to have to go see it. Just what does this moment mean? Stepping back and looking around and realizing what you guys have done. I know you have more to do, but what does winning the Big Ten Championship in your first year in the league do?
Right, I mean, no one's worked harder than us. I mean, every day they hold us to a standard, and, every day's not perfect, but we try to be. Like I said, we go out there, we lay it on the line every day, practice. I mean, we're hitting. I mean, it's not easy going to, playing for this school, playing for Coach Lanning, but, I mean, it pays off, you know what I mean?
Dillon Gabriel is one of the most special players. What is it like having him as your quarterback, and what makes him unique as a leader of this team?
Right, sir. All right. I'm so fortunate to be around him, just learning from him. He elevates our offense to the next level. So being around him taking control, is the reason we're here.
Congratulations. Enjoy it.
Thank you, guys. Go Ducks, baby!
Talk about making the most of it. Sadiq, 2 catches, 2 touchdowns. Tez Johnson did a little bit more work than that on the evening. Only got to the end zone once. I say only. He did have 11 catches for 181 yards. That is a Big Ten championship game record, and the biggest reason why he was named the Grange Griffin MVP for the 2024 title game. More from Indianapolis as we check in once again with our crew in the Oregon Star.
The most valuable player of the Big Ten championship game, Tez Johnson, with us now, setting a Big Ten championship game record, going over 180 receiving yards. That's pretty good. Coach Lanning was telling us that you went up to him at the start of the fourth quarter and told him that you needed his best 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Explain how a player is challenging a coach.
I think every day in the Oregon facility is a challenge between everybody, even yourself. And I went up to Coach Lanning and said, I need your best 15 minutes here. Like, Coach, it don't matter what you say to us, I just need your best. Because I knew we was going to be out there giving our best for everything. So just being able to have our coach's best with critical times like this, we go a long way.
How are the defenses you faced today compared to the ones that you prepared for?
I'm pretty much prepared like every game is the national championship. Like I said to my coach, Junior Adams, like on a Tuesday practice, this game right here is already rehearsed. So we just come out here on a Saturday and just showcase it for the fans. Like we already played the game already. So on a Saturday night, this is normal to us right here. So we just been able to be prepared in moments like this.
You've had a fascinating journey to this point. Tell me about it.
It's amazing because my life changed when I was like, 15 years old. Obviously, I got adopted by the Knicks family. And this game right here, my whole entire family, my bio family right here just see me play for the first time. So that for me, I wanted to come out here and just play my game. Like, you know what I'm saying? I knew everybody was in the stands watching me, and being able to have both moms at a game, how great is that, you know? So, I mean, yeah.
It's a pretty amazing story, and your journey even in college is an amazing one, starting your career at Troy and then ending up here at Oregon. They were telling the story on the broadcast of how you had grown up as an Oregon fan. You'd always wanted to play for Oregon. What's this moment like to see that dream fulfilled, to be a Duck and to shine on the brightest stage?
Like I say every time, it's amazing. I don't take anything for granted when I'm up here at Oregon. When I was at Troy, I used to wear Oregon gloves to practice and in the games. So obviously I'm a diehard Oregon fan. I got adopted with the hoodie, Oregon on, not knowing the following year Bo was going to play Oregon for the first game. And I couldn't even go because Dad wouldn't let me. So, and I was like kind of mad. But then again, I was going for both teams. I wanted Bo to do good, but I wanted Oregon to do good at the same time. But somebody had to win, somebody. But it's part of it. My journey is crazy. Thankful for going to Troy, growing up at Troy, and being able to get an opportunity to play at Oregon is how, like, God don't write a better story than that. He orders our steps, and you got to walk with faith. Like, faith is everything within this game, because obviously we wouldn't be playing this game if it weren't for God. So,
Speaking of journeys, how was it with the time that you missed this year?
It was tough for me, but then again, I felt like I knew exactly what God was doing. My faith in God was just so, like, trust the process. I write on my mirror every day, trust the process. Just be poised through the moments. Because rehab with me, obviously, the trainers will tell you, it's not easy. I'm so impatient to get back. I wanted to get back after the first week. They can tell you right now. I was like, I'm ready to play. They was like, well, it hasn't scarred over yet. I'm like, well, I feel great. But then again, it's people like that in the training room that you don't take for granted. Mama Steph, Chief, Travis, Bree, Brandy, like all those trainers that helped me out through this time I was out, prepared me for moments like this. So I give a lot of credit to them.
That's great.
Tess, really cool story. Congratulations. Looking forward to seeing what the playoff holds here for the Ducks. You'll go in as the #1 seed, and you'll go in with some new hardware. Congratulations, man.
It's pretty. That's amazing. I wrote this MVP on my mirror before I left.
Really?
And I came out here and got it.
You're manifesting.
Yeah, manifest. That's what it's all about, manifest. So, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
They stand as one, they play as one, and when you listen to them talk, they speak as one. Now they can all refer to themselves as Big Ten champions. We take a big picture look now at everything Oregon has accomplished to this point, with much more meat on the bone remaining in 2024, and the Ducks certainly hope into 2025. Let's take you back to Indianapolis.
Rick, thanks. The first top 3 matchup in any conference championship game in the last dozen years in college football absolutely delivered. Fabulous game here in Indy with Oregon taking down Penn State 45-37. Dave Revson, Jerry DiNardo, Howard Griffith, Jake Butt. This game was everything that we could have hoped for. I don't know that I saw the kind of offensive explosion that we ended up witnessing. I didn't anticipate that. Were you surprised at how these offenses marched up and down the field?
Close to 1,000 yards total. Yeah, I was surprised. And I give a lot of credit to Penn State to get that much offense and not have a threat as a wide receiver. Harrison Wallace had 4 catches, but Warren, Singleton, and Allen had 14 of the passes. So what Andy Kolanicki has done, or did tonight, is he generated 500 yards of offense without a perimeter pass game. That is a credit to his ability to call and develop a game plan.
Yeah, I thought it was outstanding. I think both offenses really did a tremendous job. We talked about Penn State a little bit yesterday as far as what they were going to need to be able to do and having those backs in the backfield going vertically down the field, and that was able to work out. But when you think about some of the plays that Dillon Gabriel made out here tonight, it was really, he proved why, he's just that good, because he understands this game. The game isn't moving too fast for him, and he knows where to put the football in critical times.
And where to put the football in critical – Tez Johnson, that's where you put the football, man. I mean, Penn State plays a lot of man-to-man coverage, and he is so twitchy. Reminds me a ton of Devontae Smith, the Alabama receiver that won a Heisman. He's not the biggest body. You know, we've seen guys like a Jeremiah Smith or Marvin Harrison Jr. the year prior. He's not that big of a body, but he's so twitchy and so quick. He's like a wisp of smoke. You try to grab him, and he's gone behind you. I was really impressed with the resolve of Oregon today because they came out dominating. And Penn State just kept fighting back and fighting back. I felt the pressure on their behalf, and yet in the biggest moments, they didn't blink. They finished down the stretch. That's what good teams do, rise to meet the occasion. That final drive that Oregon put together, including the fourth down conversion to Terrance Ferguson, that's the sign of a championship team where they never looked rushed at any point in that drive.
We talked to Tom Allen before the game, and he told us he was going to be really aggressive, and it worked because the offense was complementary to that aggressiveness. You know, if Penn State wasn't hitting on all cylinders, Tom Allen may not have been able to be as aggressive as he was, and him being that aggressive gave Oregon some real trouble.
Yeah. On the other hand, Oregon gave him more trouble
no doubt.
than he gave
Right.
Oregon. I mean, let's compliment what is, man, they're good. I mean, I think the one thing, like I had a great view of the Kenyon Sadiq touchdown, the first touchdown, where the hurdle, I mean, it was unbelievable. The athleticism of this team was just phenomenal, Jake. It must have really made your heart aflutter with three tight end touchdowns there early on in the game, and they utilized the tight end beautifully. Obviously, both teams did. Penn State's got the best tight end in the country in Tyler Warren. But, man, I mean, Oregon in person – they are really impressive athletically.
Yeah, we saw great tight end play, and the speed is a great point because a few years ago, even back when I was playing, just to be truthful, is you would watch the SEC championship and then you'd watch other conference championships. The truth of the matter is the SEC was playing at a different speed. You could just see it. Urban Meyer had a great story of when he watched Alabama Notre Dame in the national title game, and he watched Notre Dame come out. Okay, then he watched Alabama come out, and he said, wow, there's a gap. We just saw two championship football teams tonight. The speed, there is no gap. Maybe Oregon and or Penn State are the fastest teams in college football. The size stood out. So it's another just a little benchmark data point to look at the health of the conference, you know, through the lens of two of the best in our conference.
Yeah, I think when you look at this Oregon team, for me, the first time seeing them in person, impressive. The way they move. You talk about twitchy athletes. They've got a roster full of them. And the offensive line as well. So this is a team that I thought really it goes to what happened Penn State from an offensive standpoint, because when I first looked at this, I'm like, wow, I don't know, the speed, what they have there. But because they were creative, I think this Penn State team had a chance to really go out and had a chance to win this football game, quite frankly. I think the other thing is the resolve you talked about of Oregon, Penn State, because there were some moments in there.
Well, it was 28-10. I thought the game was over.
We thought this
There
was going to get ugly.
There was more than one time during the game when they were separated by two scores.
And they continued to battle back and continue to make big plays. So take your hat off to them. You talk about seeing two of the best teams in the country. I think we saw that tonight.
Yeah, Penn State acquitted themselves very well. No question about it. It'll be fascinating to see, again, how the committee treats them coming up on Sunday. But Penn State looked the part, clearly, of a college football playoff team. They do fall short, and you have this narrative now where they've still won one game against a top-5 team this entire century. Do you feel like it's fair to discuss that in the context of this game, or was this just two really good football teams and Oregon came out on top?
Well, we all watched the SEC game, and I think that what was at stake in the SEC game and what was at stake here is the 5th seed. And I think there's no doubt of what I saw today of the two championship games.
Notre Dame might end up as that 5th seed.
I understand they're in the conversation, but of what happened today, Penn State deserved the 5th seed. I haven't watched Notre Dame, so I can't compare them. But I did watch the SEC championship game, and I watched today's championship game, and Penn State, of those teams, deserved the 5th seed.
I don't know how this thing is going to shake out, quite frankly. We don't know because this committee does things differently, and you try to look back to last year and try to judge it. You don't know what you're going to see. I do know this: if Penn State gets a home game, which I fully expect them to be able to do, they'll be just fine.
They'll get a home game. I'd be astonished.
And to be able to, the way they play tonight, they just need to be able to duplicate it, get healthy, and get ready to go.
This may be the best game we've seen Penn State play.
I agree. And I think there's been, to your question, there's been times in these big moments where they've left something to be desired. The Ohio State game earlier in the season, there's clear moments in that game where I looked at it and I said, that's not a championship football team.
More.
That I didn't get that feeling today, though. I did not. And Drew Aller, Jerry, you mentioned the lack of an elite wide receiver one outside. He played a great game. It was 28-10 off that pick six down there. First off, the defense got a 3 and out. Give the ball back. Drew Aller marched them right down and ripped a seam route for a touchdown. Defense gets another 3 and out. Penn State ball again. He drove them down again, and he does that. He doesn't have a Tez Johnson outside. I thought Drew Aller played a great game.
And he was able to do with his legs today.
And his legs, yes.
And as impressive as Penn State, we're bragging about Penn State. Oregon beat them, and Oregon's the best team in the country, and probably one of the most talented teams in the country.
Oregon's phenomenal. We were talking about this with Dan Lanning, and the thing that has really impressed me this year about Oregon is their level of consistency. And I think when you spend even a small amount of time around him, you really understand it. I mean, you understand, Jerry, kind of the way that he conveys this air of, okay, what's next? And you don't get caught up in what's down the line here. You get caught up in the next moment. And I know a lot of different coaches preach that, but you get the sense that this team is completely bought in on that. And I think it was evidenced out here. I mean, from their point of view, right, there wasn't a whole lot at stake here. I mean, what's at stake is winning a conference championship, which is a huge deal.
Championship, Big Ten championship ring is important.
I get it, and that's something you'll talk about your whole life.
Yes.
And so I'm not in any way minimizing that. But I'm still saying you can win the national championship without winning this game. But, man, he had them totally dialed in and ready to go. And it clearly – the importance of this game was not lost on them.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about this yesterday. Slow start, then the win against Ohio State, and then the tight game against Wisconsin helped them tonight.
What do I always talk about? The players trying to figure out repeating what's going on from the front of the room. We had Tez here. What did Tez say to his coach? We need the best 15 minutes out of you. Now, it's funny initially, but think about the leadership you have to have in your locker room to have your players thinking that way.
Right.
So that's impressive. He does a great job from the front of the room, but it's about these players really buying in.
How about this season, though, for Dan Lanning in Oregon? First year in the Big Ten, the teams that ran this conference were Ohio State. They took them down. Michigan the past 3 years. They took Michigan down. Penn State was the last benchmark. Penn State gave Oregon their best shot. I agree, Jerry, this is the best game Penn State played all year, and yet Oregon was too good. It's caps off an unbelievably special and spectacular season for Oregon.
You've lost control of the group. I think they want us. I think they want us to wrap it up.
First time in 30 years we have seen these two teams go head-to-head. How privileged are we that we're going to get to see it, maybe not on an annual basis, but certainly more frequently than once every 30 years. This was a ton of fun tonight, Rick.
Of course, 283 yards through the air, 183 on the ground, just 3 penalties and no turnovers. The ingredients for success, championship success for Oregon. Terrance Ferguson found the end zone, proving he's more than just Dillon Gabriel's best friend. He's also standing by with our Ashley Adamson.
So the first 3 touchdowns for the Ducks in the Big Ten championship game all go to tight ends. First, I got to ask about your guy, Kenyon Sadiq. What was it like for you to watch him catch those first 2?
Oh, I'm super proud of him. You know, I've seen him do that in spring games. I've seen him do it in practice. Just to see him do it out here on a game, on the big stage like this, his time is coming, you know, and he's going to be the next great tight end at the University of Oregon. So I'm proud of him. It's great to see.
You know, you kind of spoke this into existence. I know we were standing right here about 4 months ago for Media Day, and you said we're going to be back here for the Big Ten championship game. I know your family already booked Airbnbs way back then. What is it like to know that you guys just completed the regular season you had and to be able to finish it in this way on this stage?
Man, it feels amazing. You know, God is good, and I've prayed about this. I've prayed it into existence since then, you know, and we all came back for a certain reason, as to win championships. So, you know, to be there for Media Day and then come back and win on a stamp like that, you know, it feels amazing.
What was it like? You know, you guys needed one more defensive stop, and to be able to go see that play that Nikko made.
No, it feels amazing. You know, Nikko, he deserves it. He's a hard worker. You know, we all trusted him to make that play, and, you know, when the defense needed a stop, they came up big.
What's it going to be like when you watch a selection show tomorrow and the Ducks are #1 and they've got a bye and you get to hang out and go to Pasadena?
Oh, it's going to be surreal, but, you know, we're gonna hang out for a little bit, but we're going to get right back to work. You know, that's what we're about. So we're just going to get right back to work.
Yeah, I don't know. Is this the 24-hour rule, the 48-hour rule? What is it?
I don't even know. It might be just a couple-hour rule.
Okay.
As soon as we get back in Eugene, watch the film, and get better.
Go celebrate with your teammates. Thanks, Terrance.
Thank you so much. Go Ducks!
You heard Ashley mention Pasadena. That's because Oregon will be the #1 seed. The Rose Bowl, one of the quarterfinal sites. That means Oregon basically locked in to that quarterfinal game on New Year's Day. The Ducks will head there 13-0 for the first time in program history. But of course, the goal is to get to 16-0 on the night of January the 20th. Time to talk some Big Ten buckets, and it must be Championship Saturday because we brought in the heavy hitters, Robbie Hummel and Mike DeCourcy alongside, as we start with the Big Ten game of the day from Ann Arbor, Iowa, Michigan. Final 25 seconds. Hawkeyes down by 3. Brock Harding comes up with the steal, finds Peyton Sanford. Bottoms 83 apiece. Ensuing possession for Michigan. Roddy Gale Jr., one of 5 Wolverines in double figures. Appears to miss the layup here, but upon review, Owen Freeman called for goaltending, and so the Wolverines go up by 2. Last chance for Iowa. Won it on a buzzer beater earlier this week. Not this time. Michigan 85-83. Here's Dusty May on what was drawn up in the final huddle before Michigan's last offensive possession.
Yeah, I mean, we thought they would pay a lot of attention to Vlad and Danny in a ball screen that's been so effective, so we just used those two as a decoy, essentially. Trey threw it in. I told them to go at 9. We probably, in that particular play, should have went at 6 or 7. But we wanted to get there early enough. We felt like if Roddy got downhill, Danny and Vlad were going to have an opportunity on the glass. Hats off to Roddy. He made a really good play. Vlad, Danny set good screens. Trey chased it and looked like an RPO keeper in football, and those guys executed it well.
A close to ideal start in year 1 for Dusty May. 8-1 overall, 2-0 in early Big Ten play.
Yeah, Dusty May, this thing's easy. Couple-point road win in Madison, couple-point win today, 2-0. Great start for the May era. Trey Donaldson got back on track, and that was really important. He struggled in Madison, and to see him kind of get back into the swing of things, he played well today. The Danny Wolf, Vlad Golden, two-man action. The pick and roll, the way those guys are playing, the physicality they bring. The one thing that has to get in check, the turnovers. 17 of them today. They're last in the Big Ten Conference. This team has a chance to be really good. They want to play fast, but they can't play out of control.
For Big Ten Player of the Week this week, I say Vlad Golden and Danny Wolf together, because they're inseparable right now. What they did at Wisconsin in their Big Ten opener, and then today, 12 of 17 from the field for 33 points. Again, a dominant force in the Big Ten at the moment. They were fantastic, and not very many teams are playing as big as they are, and I'm not sure that anybody's doing it better.
Awfully tough to defend. That is 14 feet worth of Big Ten Player of the Week, if the league listens to Mike's suggestion. So the Wolverines starting 2-0. Their rivals from just down the road in East Lansing, Michigan State, looking for a 2-0 Big Ten start. All over Nebraska today. Late first half, up by 5. Jeremy Fears falling down to Cohen Carr. 1 of 8 assists for Fears, but the only one from his backside. Michigan State up by 10 at the break. In the second half, Spartans on a 25-1 run. Jace Richardson for 3. Michigan State's bench scored 43 points. Jaden Akins throws in 18, and the Spartans look to be a force to be reckoned with. Tom Izzo's crew 2-0 in the Big Ten after an 89-52 win.
I was more impressed defensively because we've been giving up some points lately. We've been giving up percentages lately. We said we needed to bear down defensively, but this team is moving the basketball. You know, I saw Magic tweeted it out. It's easy to see, and the ball movement has led to a lot of assists and better shooting. So I'm proud of them for a lot of things, but you know, in football you want to win offensively, defensively, and special teams. Our special teams, free throw shooting, stuff like that was phenomenal today.
And Mike, one thing that Tom Izzo didn't mention, that bench. Jace Richardson can play. Your bench scores 40-plus points in any Big Ten game, you're almost guaranteed to win.
I mean, you're bringing Xavier Booker off as well. Those two guys were terrific. But what I really stood out to me was the fact that they had such great play from Jeremy Fears at the point guard, and Jackson Kohler inside. So they're getting definition at the point and definition inside. It's hard to have a bad day plus-minus-wise when you win by 37 points, but those were the two guys that were both plus 30.
Yeah, their balance stands out, but I look at this team and think this is starting to look like the teams that when I was in the league, what they used to do. They are running like crazy. They're getting you on the glass. They're playing with the physicality. The last couple of years, we've heard Tom Izzo say we want to rebound and run, but I haven't felt like they've done it. They're doing it right now, and that means if Michigan State starts making some shots, look out.
48-19 was the rebounding edge. I think maybe Coach Izzo had those football pads on this week. Again, keeping that championship game theme going on this championship Saturday. Rutgers, Ohio State, couple of teams in desperate need of a win, each suffering through many losing streaks. First half, Ohio State up by 4. Bruce Thornton had 22. That triple giving Ohio State a 7-point lead. Rutgers now down 8. Dylan Harper trying to bring the Scarlet Knights back. The deficit is 5. Harper, Ace Bailey score 30, but took a combined 29 shots to get there. Devin Royal joins Thornton with 22 of his own. That's a career high. Jake Diebler and company end the losing Jag with the 80-66 win.
You know, we talked about being in attack mode. We were not in attack mode when we went to Maryland, you know, in those first 20 minutes. And we got back to practicing in attack mode, playing with a great deal of urgency. And I thought we were able to do that against a really good, really talented, and well-coached Rutgers team. We played 40 minutes of Buckeye basketball. It wasn't, you know, for bits and pieces. We put a connected 40 minutes together.
Robbie, really all about effort, because Coach Diebler mentioned that Maryland game. They got blown off the court. That game was over before it ever began.
Yeah, it really was. I thought the leadership from Bruce Thornton today, excellent. He got them off to a good start. He certainly is the glue of this team and the point guard. Good to see him have these guys ready to play. Devin Royal is one of the guys that's gone from a really good freshman end of his season to now maybe an all-conference player. Impressed that Ohio State was able to win this game, not making a bunch of threes, but able to make a lot of plays around the rim. That's how they got it done.
7:34 left in this game. It was 63 Ohio State, 56 Rutgers. Rutgers got 3 stops and had 4 chances to close that gap and make it a real game down the stretch. They had a missed layup and 3 turnovers in that stretch, and Ohio State outscored them from 17-10 the rest of the way.
And I think these are going to be the growing pains when you have a young roster and young stars like Steve Michael has to rely on this season. As good as that recruiting class is, it's hard to be a freshman inside the Big Ten. Fourth and final Big Ten conference game of the day out west. USC, Washington, this one all Trojans. Desmond Claude knocks down the 3 just before the break. Claude had 20. USC up 51-25 at the half. To the second half, you probably don't need to see any more highlights, especially if you're a Washington fan. I'm going to show them to you anyway. Wesley Yates had 19. Old team going down. Trojans up by 29. And then it's St. Thomas, member of the all-name team. USC wins it big, 85-61. Special day for Coach Eric Musselman in a lot of different ways.
Well, I'll tell you why it means something. It's my mom's birthday. All right, my mom put up with a lot of games. She's watching the game in La Jolla, California. Happy birthday, Mom. And I know, you know, she's thought about all the time she sat in the Big Ten arena watching my dad coach. So it's probably even more special to her than me. But, you know, this is a great league. I feel fortunate to be coaching in it. And it's a great league for our program to be in.
To the non-con, 11th-ranked Wisconsin taking on number 5 Marquette, tied at 34 first half. Max Klesmit knocks down the triple off the screen. Klesmit had a team-high 22. Wisconsin up by a deuce at the break. All Golden Eagles in the second. Cam Jones, remember him, Purdue fans, dropped a triple-double on the Boilers, had 32.6 dimes against the Badgers. Stevie Mitchell adds the N1. Marquette beats Wisconsin 88-74. Badgers were 8-0 in November, 0-2 so far in December. Oregon has been crowned champion, but Penn State should be keeping its collective head high after the Nittany Lions put an all-out effort on the field at the championship game. We'll hear from headman James Franklin when the big show continues. 2 really good defenses were on the field Saturday night at Lucas Oil Stadium, and the scoreboard operator still left the Big Ten championship game with carpal tunnel syndrome. Penn State, Oregon combining for 82, second most in Big Ten championship game history, behind only the Nebraska-Wisconsin game from 2012. But remember, Wisconsin accounted for 70 of those 101 points. An all-out effort by both Oregon and Penn State. Thoughts now from Nittany Lion headman James Franklin.
I'm proud of our guys. We played the number one team in the country and had a chance to win the game at the end. One of the things I talked to the guys in the locker room about is this is a new college football, and especially the veterans like Devon, you have to understand that this is new college football, and there's a 12-team playoff, and our season has just begun. Do I think our resume matches up with anybody in the country? Yeah, I think it does. Again, we lost by one possession to the number one team in the country. We will get better because of this. And we'll be ready to play whoever they tell us we're playing Sunday.
Certainly will be a lot of debate when the College Football Playoff Committee reveals its final rankings. Rick Pizzo back with Marcel Reese. Doesn't matter whether Penn State's 5, 6, 7. Doesn't matter if they're ahead or behind teams like Texas or Ohio State. Yeah. What is not up for debate is how hard the Nittany Lions played on Saturday night and how proud they should be of their effort in a losing effort.
You're absolutely right, Rick. Listen, this team is a legit elite football team, and they are a contender. When we talked about it all week, what does Penn State have to do to compete with the number one team in the country in the Oregon Ducks? James Franklin, what does your game plan look like? Andy Kolonicki, can you produce an effective and explosive offense? Yes, yes, yes. Can you get your stars involved? They did everything. They checked all the boxes. What this game came down to is they ran into a buzzsaw of Oregon Ducks who were ready for everything. We're talking about a game that had 984 yards of total offense, and Penn State Nittany Lions outgained the Oregon Ducks. So no one expected that. It happened. That is the reality that we're in. And if you're Penn State, I love what James Franklin said. Our season has just begun.
And I think there's no doubt, no matter where they are seeded, Penn State's not going to be below 8, which means the Nittany Lions will have a first-round home game at Beaver Stadium, a huge advantage in late December. We saw some of the best football players in the country on the field Saturday night. Some of the best women's basketball players in the nation took the court on Saturday as well. And for more on that, we check in with Kylan Mills.
Thanks, Rick. Autumn Johnson with me now to break down the conference slate from Saturday. USC star Juju Watkins continues to dominate, and that is where we start. 6th-ranked USC taking on Oregon. First quarter is where we pick this one up. Ducks up by 4. They got off to a hot start. Peyton Scott drives to the rim. Easy bucket. 2 of her 13 points. She is fired up. After going scoreless from the field in the first quarter, Juju Watkins says, yeah, that's not going to work. Heats up in the second, stops, pops, and knocks it down from beyond the arc. Part of a 7-0 run by Watkins alone, Autumn. That's right.
Kylan, Juju Watkins is lethal in transition. You have to get up on her at all costs, and what a luxury to have Kiki Area Finn down low to bang down low, get some putbacks. But look at this. How do you stop this? It is tough trying to stay in front of Juju.
Watkins from NBA range. USC wins the conference opener 66-53. Here's the post-game reaction from the Trojans.
Road wins in conference are gold, and to do it when our two, leading scorers were both in some foul situations, I think is good growth for us. I think we showed some toughness. Obviously, we had built enough of a lead that we could hang on there, but nothing's going to be easy, and I thought some other players really stepped up and did a great job.
I think it's been a challenge for me. I think I'm just trying to figure out where my teammates, want me, where they want the ball, but I think my number one go-to is just rebounding, so getting on the offensive glass, defensive glass, and then kind of letting my game come to me from there.
USC earns their first Big Ten win, thanks in large part to Juju Watkins, 21 points in 28 minutes. Despite fouling out in this matchup, she is the true definition of a 3-level score.
If you like Showtime basketball, look no further in Juju Watkins. I was really impressed of how she's been able to come out in the past 4 games beyond the arc. 17 threes. She went through a little bit of a shooting slump to start off her sophomore year, but her bread and butter is getting to the free throw line. She can attack the right hip, the left hip. When I say watch out at all costs when you're trying to defend her at one-on-one, it's hard because she has a silky smooth game, that hesitation. She's so smooth, you don't know if she's going to pull up in mid-range or blow right past you. She has such an elite skill set.
Juju Watkins and Kiki Area Finn, the true 1-2 punch. I don't know how you defend it, but I guess opponents got to figure out something. USC improves to 8-1. Oregon falls to 7-3. Let's head now to West Lafayette for 7th-ranked Maryland playing at Purdue. Second quarter action here. Boilers up 10. Reagan Bass lets one go here from beyond the arc. Bank is open. Purdue led by 9 at the half. Third quarter now, tied up at 46 apiece. Bree McDaniel in the mid-range. Nicely done. 2 of her 16 points. The Terps take their first lead of the game. Fourth quarter now, Maryland up 4. Sailor Poffenbarger was outstanding down the stretch. Knocks down the triple here. She led Maryland with 17 points. They escaped with a 78-69 win. This Maryland team started ice cold in this game, shooting just 11% in the first quarter, but the Terps found a way to claw back in the second half, in large part due to Sailor Poffenbarger, 17 points, including 12 in that second half.
I thought she did a great job of moving without the basketball. She was active in every single play, diving, cutting, and also cutting to get to her angles, trying to find herself at the rim. Hit some big-time threes as well down the stretch, but a collective effort for the Terps. 5 players in double figures. I think Brenda Freese does an incredible job meshing talent together when it comes to transfers, and Sailor being one of them coming from Arkansas. The way they've been beautifully been able to create some chemistry together has been amazing to see.
A lot of changes to this roster, but man, Freese has done an incredible job of getting the chemistry together. Maryland 10-0 for the first time since 2018-2019. Penn State hosting Indiana. Second quarter, Nittany Lions down 4. Jayla Oden gets the ball in the corner. Nice contested baseline layup. Oden would lead Penn State scores with 19. Nittany Lions cut their deficit to 2. Ahead to the third quarter, IU trails by 2. Yarden Garzone finds Caroline Strickland for the triple. She had 27 points. Hoosiers take a 1-point lead. Fourth quarter now, IU up 12. Shea Chesky finds Garzone. Wide open 3. She had 22 points. The Hoosiers finished strong. 75-60 the final score. How about Tennessee transfer Caroline Strickland going off with 27 points in this game? Could she be the answer inside for the Hoosiers?
Absolutely. An answer, also some versatility, some size. When you think about the post era of Mackenzie Holmes being out of the lineup, graduating, now you look to someone off the bench who went 12 for 12 from the floor, 1 for 1 from deep. I don't know about you, but that would give me a lot of confidence moving forward to have a breakout game like that for Caroline. Just some versatility and now depth that the Hoosiers can look to add to their success.
Hoosiers looking for that balanced scoring effort. Got to find something going inside. Indiana now 7-3 and 1-0 in Big Ten play, while Penn State falls to 8-2. Autumn, great to see you. Great to have you back. Women's hoops officially underway, like riding a bike.
Let's go.
All right, here we go. Back to you, Rick.
Kylan, Autumn.
Rick, thanks. We're thrilled to be with Kenyon Barner here. Got a chance to see his alma mater win a Big Ten championship, the 14th conference championship in Oregon history, but obviously the first one in this league. Your takeaways after watching the Ducks' performance here tonight?
Well, first and foremost, congratulations to the Ducks. Also to Penn State, heck of a season getting here. But for more Oregon Ducks, I'm biased. I am. But when you're biased, it's like having a child. When you're biased, you're always going to be brutally honest about your children. You want them to do the best. You want the best for them, but you got to be honest. This wasn't it. It's a great win. You never complain about a win or how it comes, but we're not where we need to be. Defense kind of took a step back today. The tackling, Penn State is good. I respect them, but they're not 300 yards on the ground good.
Look at Oregon the entire season. Compare it to some of the previous teams that Oregon's had.
Say that one more time for me.
Compare this team today to some of the other Oregon teams that you've had.
I can't. There's not really a comparison with this team. I can go back to our national championship team that we had. Defense was great, but when you look at this team and the way it's constructed, I've said it earlier, this isn't anything that Oregon has seen before, from the size to the athletic ability. It's just a completely different team. I think this team is much further ahead than any team that I was on.
You know, I feel like you can. There's always something to be learned, right? And if you're perfect, then there is nothing to be learned, right? That clearly wasn't perfect today. But I feel like you can learn a lot about the maturity of your team. You can learn a lot about the maturity of your quarterback in Dillon Gabriel. We were making some conversation passing by, and there was a little bit of nervousness. What did you learn from Dillon Gabriel and how he led this team in the big moments?
Well, Dillon is a guy. You know, that's what we call him in the locker room. You're a guy. When you're a guy, you come through in those times when it's needed. And when you look at this team has just been tested since the beginning. And this was just another test, and they stood the test of time. They stood in tough games, and they found ways to win. And when you're a championship caliber team, you find a way to win no matter what it looks like.
Tess Johnson's performance, put it into words for us.
Tess or Perez. That's the best thing I can say. Tess or Perez. You know, Tess shows up game in and game out. And you never know how valuable a guy is until he's no longer available. And while Oregon didn't have him for those couple of games, you've seen the offense kind of dip. With him back, this offense is explosive. Everybody's back in their spots, and they're able to do what Oregon does, and that's move the football and score at a high volume.
Do the same thing for Dillon Gabriel today. What do you think of him tonight?
Dillon is DG. He's phenomenal. He's a leader, calm, poised. He always reminds me, I put him in the mind frame of Marcus Mariota and Jeremiah Masoli. He never gets too high. He never gets too low. He's always in control. You never see him panic, and that's what you want out of your quarterback. You want a guy that when everything's kind of hitting the fan, he's calm, he's cool, collected, and can make the throws and runs and get the job done for you.
I want to ask you something I'm a little curious about, because I know you appreciate the craft of great running backs.
Yes.
So on one end, defense wasn't tackling well. On the other end, Penn State's running backs got after today, about 300 yards rushing on the ground. Anything stand out to you about their running backs?
All of them had a day. Listen, first of all, where do I need to look? Let me apologize to you guys, okay? Because I discredited you guys a little bit earlier. You guys had a phenomenal day on the ground. Those guys ran tough. They ran hard. They ran physical. They punished our defense today. And typically throughout the season, Oregon has been, they've taken it too offensive. Today we got it taken to us.
Let me ask you the last question here. You know Dan Lanning better than the three of us do. Give me a sense for kind of how he handles it from here. They're going to get a bye. They're going to be the #1 seed. You're 3 wins away from national championship. How do you expect him to handle the next week? And from Oregon fans' point of view, hopefully the next 5 or 6 weeks.
I think, one, you start with health. You get your guys healthy, knowing that you have that bye week, but knowing Dan, he won't change. He's going to have the same approach, the same mentality, but I also do believe the intensity has to go up. It's no longer you have next week. Now it's winning, you go, losing, you go home.
Kenyon Barno, this has been a ton of fun this weekend. Thanks for all your help, all your insights, and we look forward to leaning on you as the Ducks make their way
I appreciate you guys.
through the college football playoff. Rick?
All right.
Let's check in on some football Euro style, also known as soccer. NCAA quarterfinals. Top seed Ohio State taking on Wake Forest. Michael Adaidakin from the penalty spot makes no mistake. One of 2 goals on the night for Adaidakin. Second half, Ohio State building on its 1-0 lead. Luciano Pacoda finds David Ajagby in the box, and he extends the Buckeye lead. Ohio State 3-0 Buckeyes on their way to the College Cup. That is the NCAA soccer Final Four. Second round NCAA volleyball action. Penn State at home taking on North Carolina. You cannot let Jess Merzick get that high. Merzick finishes. Penn State takes the first set. Second set, it's set point once again. This time, it's Merzick taking advantage of the misplay by the Tar Heels. Penn State up 2 sets after Carolina takes the third. In the fourth, it's Cam Hanna finishing things off. Penn State in 4 sets, advancing to the Sweet 16. Nebraska looking to do the same. Huskers at home against Miami. Set point in the second after Nebraska won the first. This team's offense is really good. Its defense is unmatched. Andy Jackson and Merritt Beeson with the dual block. Nebraska up 2 sets to none. Now match point in the third. Bergen Riley, she's the Big Ten Setter of the Year for a reason. Getting tricky with the offense. Nebraska headed to the regionals after a sweep in round number 2. So you see 5 Big Ten teams will play into the Sweet 16. Oregon will face the top team in the country, Pitt. Nebraska takes on Dayton. Penn State faces Marquette. Purdue against Louisville, another #1 seed showdown for the Big Ten, while Wisconsin, which is part of that Lincoln Regional along with Nebraska, they'll take on Texas A&M. One more women's game to check on. Iowa, unbeaten, number 17 in the country, facing Tennessee. It's a neutral site game up in Brooklyn. Hawkeyes up in transition. Kylie Feuerbach to Lucy Olsen. Olsen had 23, Iowa up by 1, but the Vols make a huge second half push. Talasia Cooper hits the jumper. Vols up by 1. Later in the fourth, Tennessee now up by 6. Pressure, one of 30 Iowa turnovers in the game. Can't win it like that. Iowa loses for the first time. Tennessee 78-68. Take one final break here on The Big Show. More football. Oregon is the Big Ten champ. Another win for Dan Lanning. 35 dubs in Lanning's first 3 seasons. That is the most by any Oregon head coach ever. In their first 3 seasons, he has passed Chip Kelly, who won 34 games from 2009 through 2011. Take you back to Indy, some of Lanning's players at their champions-only post-game press conference.
I just know we took a loss in Las Vegas last year, and it just didn't sit right with the whole entire team. And I just know my teammates, the coaches, they pushed us to the limit every week. And pretty, like you guys know, Tuesday practice is not regular for us. We played a game within a game on Tuesday. Saturday is just a showcase for the fans. So.
Yeah, we prepared to face the best, and they're a great offense. Credit to our offense for sticking it out and scoring a lot of points in that game. But our preparation was unmatched. They're a good team too. That's what people forget. We came out victorious, so credit to our offense.
I mean, I'm just smiling because we're Big Ten champs. I'm smiling because we took advantage of an opportunity we had, and shoot, we could have done it at Eugene Country Club 100-yard field if we had to. But we're appreciative of the game. How about a dome in this weather, right? I know James is happy he ain't got to be all cold and frizzled up in a jacket. So there's a lot of positives, but more importantly, when that confetti came down, we're smiling.
Of course, social media abuzz after such a phenomenal game. And while most of the reaction focusing on the champs, we cannot forget about the effort that Penn State put out on Saturday in Indianapolis. Let's take you back to Lucas Oil Stadium one final time as our crew offers their thoughts on what they saw firsthand from the Nittany Lions.
Rick, thanks. As we take a look at this Big Ten championship game result, we've discussed the Oregon Ducks with Kenyon Barner. Let's focus in on Penn State. And obviously some disappointment from the Nittany Lions' point of view, although the offense was phenomenal. They had nearly 300 rushing yards. The first time they've lost a game since 2020 when they rushed for more than 200 yards. They won 21 straight in such scenarios. So on one hand, there was a lot of positive, and on the other hand, they do not go home Big Ten champs. How do you process this if you're James Franklin and his team and move on?
I think you're playing the best team in the country. Oregon has proven that. You were 2 scores behind more than one time, and you came back every time. I mean, I think this is as resilient and tough a game as I've seen Penn State play in a long time.
And I think that's significant, right? You talk about this team that's going to, looks like, get a home game, right? And their ability to answer questions. And that's what I think was really impressive tonight. Although they didn't win, to me, they answered questions about when they get down, what Drew Aller can do in crunch time in situations, because he made some big throws and had some big runs as well.
There's no moral victories in football, but I remember my first game with Jim Harbaugh. We lost on the road at Utah. You don't feel good, but we knew as a team that we had unlocked a new level. That's what I feel like Penn State, the conversation is going to be in the locker room and when they watch film. This is the best they've looked in the past few years. I mean, that offense just kept going and going and going. It's the best Drew Aller looked, and I think the defense will improve, okay? That's an explosive Oregon offense that played their best game today. The defense will catch up, but we haven't seen the offense look that fiery, in many years.
But I'd say this. There were points where the defense really helped them. They came up with some huge plays.
A couple big stops that allowed them to get back into the game.
When the offense may have turned it over, but so I think there are a lot of positives. You said it. There are no moral victories, but there are a lot of positives and a lot of things that they should feel good about as they turn the page and move forward.
And again, just one more time, they were performed offensively without a threat on the flank, and that's very creative of Cole.
Yeah, and this is who they are, and it's who they've been this year, and this was peak Penn State offense 2024. Now can you carry it into the playoff? You're into the playoff for the first time ever. It's what Penn State fans have been hoping for. We will see where it goes, starting with getting that seeding on Sunday. That's going to do it for us here from Indianapolis. Rick, let's go back to you in Chicago.
Jens, thank you. And speaking of seeding, these were the top 12 seeds, not the top 12 ranked teams, but the top 12 seeds according to the committee heading into championship weekend. You see, Arizona State was the 12 seed, even though they were outside the top 12 in rankings because they were the presumed Big 12 champ. They are now the official Big 12 champ, so they're going to be in the playoff. Add Clemson as well as ACC champ. Boise State is locked in. There's a debate over SMU. There's going to be a lot of debate until the committee releases all of the seeds and the first round matchups. We know the 4 teams that will wait until the quarterfinals to play. But Marcel, when we look back at what Oregon did on Saturday night, the Ducks will be the number 1 seed. They will be the favorite to win the national championship. And I think Saturday night was a perfect example of why.
After tonight, we can now look at the season in reflection as a whole. and they say first impressions are everything. This season was the first impression that Oregon can make on the Big Ten. And guess what? They are ready. They are physical, and they are still explosive. Dan Lanning and company have found the perfect balance of what we used to call basketball on turf and smash mouth football. This team is fantastic. They're very well coached. Dan Lanning is an unbelievable leader, and he's proven that all year long.
We know where Oregon will be. So now the committee has to prove that what it said last week rings true. A couple of members said we will not punish teams for making championship games by dropping them further than they should be dropped. Penn State has to wait to find out if that's the case.
There are so many interesting conversations to be had with this new ranking that we're going to see tomorrow. It is going to be a fun playoff.
And, of course, we will be with you throughout the course of the day on Sunday night, coming your way around 8 o'clock Eastern. We'll let you know who is playing where in the college football playoff. But we say goodbye with one final congratulations to Oregon, champions of the Big Ten.